we have to save it. We have to protect this.
Protecting the land, protecting the trees and the land around the marsh is in fact protecting us.
Flooding is going to become a major issue over time.
And 20 years later, they might actually get to it.
Before there were concepts of individual ownership, there was the land. And here on Vancouver Island, the water and the land were one.
I think that historically, before contact, most of Vancouver Island was wetland. All old growth. Everywhere we are on the island, it was an old growth forest. And the old growth forest is a shade forest. And so everywhere was wetland except sort of specific areas that may not have been different fields or rocks. Or the whole of Vancouver Island held water. The land was meant to hold water. So it held water, filtered water. And I think that after contact, when drainage became important to developers and forestry companies, and that water just slowly is disappearing. So places that are still holding water are few and far between. And I think that their purpose is important, that they're sort of holding space for an old way of land, how the land should be.
So Hamilton Marsh is part of the French Creek watershed. What is the French Creek watershed? It's like the line on the ground where every drop of rain hits the ground, and those droplets of water will reach and end up in French Creek, either at surface or through the ground, becoming groundwater and moving through aquifers to feed French Creek.
Growing up for me, having a space like this to just explore and learn, and there'd be no boundaries. We could go out off the trails, in the trails, pick up sticks, just all of that kind of thing. I know it was really impactful for my childhood, and I think that's just something that the community needs these days, especially for the younger generation.
This was a well-known place. This wasn't something that people weren't aware of. This is a place where you did ride your bike to as a kid. This is a place where you did play in the forest. This is a place where you did skate. This is a place where you hunted ducks. This had value to the community then, with a much, much, much smaller population.
As years have passed, the way humans have used Hamilton Marsh has changed. And it's allowed for things to grow back and for nature to flourish.
Marshes and wetlands are an extremely important part of the land. They are second to estuaries in terms of ecological services. It means that they have a very important role in nature and for biodiversity. And for people, they hold water, they transfer water, they filtrate water, and they provide water to a wide range of ecosystems. In the water, we have frogs, we have salamanders, we have fish, we have coho salmon, and then we have all the insects that we can see here, flying over the grass. The dragonflies, there are hundreds of species. And then if you move in the ring around of the marsh, then you have all the high grasses, the cattails, and then you have all the small bushes. And then if you go a little further, we can see here 20, 30 meters, you start having big trees. But they are part of a web, they are part of an ecosystems. Because you'll have the birds here, finding shelter in the weeds and in the tree. I mean, you have the bigger animals, even up to the cougars, which are part of this biodiversity, and they all depend on the next in line. And so I think it's important, if we understand this complexity of the ecosystem, the very wide biodiversity that it holds and protects. Protecting the land, protecting the trees and the land around the marsh is in fact protecting us, because we depend on those systems. We are part of the systems. And on the water side, we need the water supply, we need the drinking water, we need the water in the stream, we need the water in French Creek to sustain the salmon that live there and breed there and grow there. So it's really part of a complex system.
You cannot for a moment discount the importance of the value of having a space like this in terms of providing not just a place for people to recreate, not just for a place for the birds and the bees and everybody else to survive, but also in terms of water retention, in the saving of costs potentially for future water control. Flooding is going to become a major issue over time. Places like this have that kind of ecological value. It's important if you're going to attract an economy around an area like this, having it creates its own economy. The value of tourism, it has tremendous economic value. In that sense, it generates employment and it keeps people happy.
For 10 years, our school has been coming here, and now the children that started when we first began Arrowsmith Independent School are in grade 12. And they're still talking about the experiences that they've had at Hamilton Marsh as a kid. When we connect regularly to a place throughout different seasons and different times in our life, it becomes kind of like a core childhood memory. And I envision that if this place is preserved, it will still be here for them to bring their children to, which is really, really cool.
I came to the area as a teacher, so the grade 1 field trip was Hamilton Swamp. And I was digging back. I have a file folder that dates from when I first started teaching, but that was 1971. I found a paper by a grade 1 student, and this student probably is 50 now, or 45 or something like that. And he said his favorite thing about the whole school year was going to Hamilton Swamp. And I was just like, it was heartwarming, because the kids learn from it and they get out in the great outdoors and in a local area.
But as this marsh has continued its story, many others haven't, and we have seen the effects.
Right now we have trends in terms of water level and water table, which indicate that we have a gradual lowering of the water table. This is not a trend that we want to keep on. We want the water table to be as stable as possible. So promoting reinfiltration and promoting the filling of aquifers is very important. So going back to what we do with the land, if we remove the vegetation, if we render the land less permeable, then we have less water infiltrating into the soil and getting into the aquifers. And that will end up with a dropping of the water table. And we don't want that, because the aquifers and where the water table is like stored water in the ground. That is important for us, because we plug wells and we need that for drinking water. But it's very important too, because this groundwater also feeds slowly the rivers. So the water that we see, like in October, we had a few rain, but not much. So at the end of the summer, early fall, when it hasn't rained for 2 months or for 60 days, a month, the water that you see is not rain anymore. It's actually groundwater, which is coming through the banks of the rivers, the bottom of the river, and provide the water to the river. You have different water systems. The RDN has several sets of wells which supply the local population. So they highly rely on the groundwater, either for you and I in our homes when we open the tap, but also for agriculture, for irrigation water.
Cities all over the world, countries are recognizing the value of places like this and the role they play in dealing with environmental issues and ensuring that you don't have to spend a great deal of money trying to recreate something that nature had in place before civilization stepped in and destroyed it. Cities all over the world are uncovering streams again. They appreciate the value of them. Recreating swampland, marshes, all sorts of ecological modifiers and control mechanisms that were in place with nature that didn't, quote unquote, cost anything to build. They existed. We have it. We don't have to pay for it, except the initial purchase price, which is relatively modest in my view for the value that we'd receive as a community at large and for the east coast of Vancouver Island.
It's our duty to look after the land, and we've been taken away from so much of the land. We're not able to look after it. So I think that's important, is teaching children. It's our traditional duty to make sure the land is looked after. And when we've lost that ability, we just have to take little bites. Lots and lots of little bites.
After 20 years of struggle, we're finally at the point where we might be able to take a big bite and save this place. But we still have a ways to go.
I moved to Hilliers near Qualicum Beach about 25 years ago. And on our particular country road, there was a lot of logging, like a lot. And Hamilton Marsh isn't too far as the crow flies, and we saw ribbons go up on the land around it. And I thought, oh, really? Every tree? And so I started asking questions. And then people pointed me in directions of different studies that were done, like the fact that this is the most prolific waterfowl brood marsh between Nanaimo, Port Alberni, and Cumberland. And then it was detail after detail after detail. And I reached a point where I thought to myself, we have to save it. We have to protect this. And when I learned it was under the auspices of the Regional District of Nanaimo, I was so naive. I thought that if it was within a government area that the government could just save it, right? So I put on a black suit and I straightened my hair and I did a delegation with an incredible PowerPoint, an assistant and everything. And I was really naive enough to think that boom, bingo bango, they know what's what, they can save it. And 20 years later, they might actually get to it.
There's an interim agreement between the Regional District of Nanaimo and the landowner to purchase the entire 360 hectares of Hamilton Marsh and Forest.
The greater the population, the greater the value of a place like this. And I'd like to think that our job is to ensure that generation after generation gets to have the same joy, pleasure, and learn as much as all of us did from being able to be here and share this place.
It's such a beautiful area. It has everything. It has the water, it has the forest, it has some pathways, and it's just the way I remembered it from all those years. So I think it's such a valuable acquisition to have in the community. As people come to the area, the green spaces are shrinking and we need nature. It enriches our souls and it gives a space where you can be in the great outdoors and see beauty.
So the next question is, what can we do? What can you do to help make sure that this piece of land is protected? The current deal of purchase is $30 million for 360 hectares of forest and marsh. The RDN is covering most of that, but we need to raise $7.5 million privately, and this is where you and I come in. Spread the word, donate if you can, and write to your elected officials to let them know how important this place is to you and generations to come.